Dima Mixon, Glyn Dyar. The scoreboard up there, Glyn says Southern Miss 38, App State 22, which means Southern Miss is 2-1 for the first time since 2019. First Sun Belt and FBS win since 2023.
Yep.
And Charles Huff, we just talked to him for about 20 minutes. He was a little
salty.
He was a little salty.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it was something different that we haven't seen from Huff. He kind of assaulted me. I'm just kidding. He did not assault me. Maybe we should cut that. No, I'm just kidding. But no, he was very energetic, I would say. Very, I think, pleased with the way his team performed tonight. And why wouldn't you? I mean, a team that App State came in those first two drives, Glenn, and in my head I was like, man, that looked like knife through butter. You know, and they just went straight down the field. The interception, of course. Southern Miss netted 1 yard on that drive. They punted it back to App State, and App State went right back down the field and scored and went up 7-0. But then from then on, really Southern Miss controlled the game from that moment on. Southern Miss drive down 7-7, get a stop, 10-7, and then the play that obviously changed the game was the Ian Foster interception. We'll get there in a minute. But Glenn, what was kind of your thoughts talking to Coach Huff there? I mean, it felt different to me than I've ever seen him.
Yeah, and you were talking there, I was just thinking to myself, and I think I've got it. I think he stayed cool all week doing interviews. He didn't put himself out there, but I think in his mind he got tired of hearing about how great App State is, how great their quarterback is, how many sacks they ran up, and yeah. Maybe what he didn't take into consideration too, as we also said, it was against inferior competition. But yeah. I think he kind of took it personally a little bit, and maybe a little chest thumping for him, and good on him.
No, and I think it is, and I think it's warranted. I'm not downing him for doing that. I just think it's an interesting aspect to him as far as difference from what we've seen in the past. You have a winning head coach coming into a losing football program, and that's just the truth. That's what we're going to call it as. It's a winning coach coming into a losing program. And everybody in the stadium, and we talked about it all week, Glenn, everybody in the stadium is still in that believe it when I see it mode. And you could even see it on Twitter tonight. Some of my replies, some of the tweets throughout Southern Miss was kind of like, is this actually happening? Are we really up 38-14 on App State? And I think Huff and the players, like I've said on the Eagle Hour and several other shows, I don't think they think that way. So it's a little bit disrespectful to them when the fans still feel that.
Yeah.
So they know what they have. And I actually think, and Glenn, you can comment on this, I think they saved some of the offensive stuff that they showed tonight for this game because I knew how important it was. Because some of the stuff they did tonight we had not seen before.
Right.
Some of the ways they were using Braylon in the short passing game and getting the playmakers in space, and I think it surprised App State a little bit. But, I mean, Glenn, they thoroughly dominated them for most of the game.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that it looks like they, Swan's a great quarterback. And Coach Loggins is a great offensive mind. I think, and they're going to spread them out. I think what they did was smart, kind of like death by a thousand cuts. They set in quarters and
the defense.
Some of this defense set in quarters and said, okay, drive the ball, beat us, and putting together an 8, 9, 10 play drive is very difficult. And it proved to be the case. Once they got down the low red, he made 3 crucial errors that just really could kill them.
Yeah, no doubt. And comment on the offense that I thought really opened the playbook up. And I really think that they saved a lot of this for this game because we talked about it on our videos. This game was a crucial game, not just for this football team, but for the program. And now everything that this team wants to accomplish is in front of them, and I think it's achievable. You're looking around the Sun Belt right now, and nobody really scares you, and I think this team could compete against any of them. But it was this game that they had to show that they were ready to take that step, and that this is a different Southern Miss team, and I think they passed that test with flying colors.
Yeah, and it's like what Coach Huff said. You could tell he was proud of his guys. They did a good job. They did what they wanted to do, but he also made the point, and it was in my head the whole game, that they're a pick away, a catch away from burying that team.
Right.
They could have really walked away with this game. Down here before the second half, there were 2 picks that could have gone the other way easy, and they dropped them.
Yeah.
This could have easily gone, they could have easily created a much larger deficit. And I think he was a little bit, hacked about that they didn't put their foot on the throat and just pull away.
Right, and I think I can't remember if it was at the end of halftime or coming out of the second half, they drove down the field and Jeffrey Pittman had that personal unsportsmanlike conduct and it pushed him back out of field goal range. They had to punt it back. I think that was the end of half.
Yeah, that was a killer.
And that would have been a 2-score difference there because they went right down the field and scored in the third quarter. So,
but off that coming out in the third quarter, they took the ball and drove the ball 75 yards.
I thought that was the best drive of the day.
And Pittman was key on some carries.
Yes.
You could tell he was running with a little purpose.
I think he only had 37 yards rushing for him personally tonight. The whole team had 112 with Braylon some, and I thought Jones looked good. All the running backs to me. Robert Briggs looks as good as we've seen him. They really have a three-headed monster with that running back, and then you add in Braylon, who, he kind of had like a quiet 3-touchdown night. So
I thought it was interesting too when we got to talk to Pittman. The first 2 weeks we've watched him, and we've watched the backs kind of probe and not hit it up the field.
Yeah, and he said that.
Yeah, and I think it's because there just weren't holes there yet. There weren't guys getting to the second level from the offensive line. And tonight he said those holes were there, and they were hitting those holes and not probing and playing back there. Get what you can get, and a lot of times when you do that, you can break a tackle and get more yards.
Exactly, and that was key. Something else that I thought was important tonight was the wide receivers really finally got separation.
Doc Chapman.
Incredible night. I think he was well over 140 yards receiving, and somebody who we haven't said his name all season yet. And something that Huff said in the postgame presser was, listen, it might not be him next week.
Yeah, they saw a matchup advantage for them.
I think so.
They were going to man up on that slot.
I really think
he burned it up.
And I think they put a linebacker on him, and he's faster than
they ran those 2x2 sets.
Right. But it might not be him next week. That's what Huff was saying. Sure. It might be Braylon Brown. It might be Matt Jones. I don't know. But he said whatever we see the deficiency in their defenses, we're gonna keep doing that deficiency until they stop it.
You know what's nice?
Glyn, they did not stop
it. They notice and see these deficiencies during game week.
That's something they haven't done.
And make adjustments, halftime adjustments. Hey, who ever heard of that?
Yeah, or not, or bashing on last year's team. But one thing that was interesting to me, Glyn, and something off on that, Huff said, I'm proud of the way the guys played tonight, but I'm more proud of the way they prepared. And that to me tells me that they saw what they were going to be able to potentially do. And what they could have done is even bigger than what they did.
Right.
But what they could potentially do on Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they executed it on the field. I would say outside of, there's a point in the game where App State misses a field goal. They rough the kicker. They run it in the end zone. It's a 10-point game. They recover the onside kick. That was the turnaround right there.
Yep.
And they get a crucial fourth down stop, and then they went down and scored, and it was over. So that was the only time, to me, that the game felt like in doubt. Not in doubt, but like, okay, maybe App State could come back and take this game.
No, you've let them back in it.
Right, but for the vast majority of the game, Glenn, Southern Miss, there was not I was writing my game story in the third quarter.
Right, and Huff alluded to, and it gives me comfort too, we're happy with what we did, but we felt like we left a lot on the field, a lot of points, a lot of opportunities. And we're just, we're going to work on it. We're going to get better, and we're going to get better. That's kind of fun to think about.
Exactly. And if something, I think we'd be remiss. I don't even know if I said that word right. Remiss if we did not speak on the defensive line play tonight. 5 sacks. Jamon Tapp looked like a monster. It just continues. Like we said in week 1, these are groups that are going to continue to get better over the season. Development that Southern Miss fans have not seen in the past few years.
They just got to stay healthy.
Right, of course. And for the most part, I think they stayed healthy pretty good tonight. But the defensive line going, man, they played with a different force tonight that I think we hadn't seen yet.
I didn't get to ask him this, but I noticed through the course of the game, you're bringing App in from a cooler temperature. There's no humidity up where they're at, obviously. I noticed that they subbed up front liberally throughout the game. Yeah. I think they thought with this weather and this humidity that they could drag them off deep into the pool. Mm-hmm. And in some respects, I think their linemen did get tired.
Yeah, for sure. Glyn, I guess, how would you grade Braylon's play tonight?
I had to give Braylon a solid B. And the only reason I don't give him an A is because there was some overthrows that were costly. Yeah. Cost him on an interception, and 2 other would have been 2 big receptions that moved the chains.
Right.
And I think he'd have told you that too.
I would have said B too. I don't think I can give anybody who has an interception an A, but for the most part, it's like high B, and it's what he needed to do. And of course, they left points on the field, but I don't think anybody really cares. They got the win, and they know what they can build off from here. They got Louisiana Tech next week on the road, another pivotal non-conference game for Southern Miss.
Not an easy place to play.
A quittable game, not a Mississippi State or Jackson State game. Very similar to this game, I would assume. And this team is 2-1, Glenn, and it's really. I said in the beginning of this video, but I think everything that they want to accomplish is in front of them. If we've seen what they've done so far.
I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. They could defy expectation to some degree.
For sure. And Huff, like we said in the beginning of this video, he was really,
He was fired up.
really fired up. I mean,
Right.
and you can go watch that on YouTube, the postgame presser on this YouTube channel that you're watching this video on, and I encourage you to do it. It was a different Coach Huff than we've seen.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was a little bit
He's chippy.
reserved the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, he was chippy tonight.
But I think that's a testament to how much they knew that this game mattered.
Yeah.
This game was huge, and they came out with a huge win, 38-22 victory over App State. We're going to get out of here. We're going to go and write. Glyn's going to go eat.
I'm hungry, man.
I guess, well, we're not
There's nothing open now.
yeah, I was going to say where we're going to go eat, but no, we're not going to say that. Well, we're going to go get out of here. I'm going to go write. He's going to go eat. You can go follow all your coverage on
GoldenEaglePride.com.
You can follow my coverage on HubCitySpokes.com. Please come and see us. We would appreciate it.
Also, for those of you who didn't make it tonight, you missed a good time. It was an awesome atmosphere. It kind of started reminding me of when I was here going to school in the 90s. It was a good atmosphere, and I was excited to think that it can only get better.
When Ian Foster made that pick six, that was probably the most energized I've seen the fans in several years here.
Yeah,
I
almost got caught cheering in the press box.
Well, I can't say that, but Glyn can. But thanks for watching. We'll see you on Tuesday for first thoughts on La Tech, hearing from what Coach Huff had to say after rewatching the game. Wondering if he'll be as energized as he was today. He probably won't, but we'll see. But we'll be there giving you all the coverage. Thanks for watching. That's for Glyn Dyar. I'm Dima Mixon. We'll see you on Tuesday here at The Rock.
Thanks.